Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be giving you my Scorpio February 2022 horoscope forecast, and yes, it does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, first thing up now, well, as far as February goes, the Sun will be in Aquarius from the 1st until the 18th. So the fourth house will be emphasized and highlighted for Scorpio. This could be a time where you might put strong focus and attention. It could be on computers in the home, or doing something with electronics out of the home, or even dealing with maybe a rebellious or eccentric family member. Might even shine the light, so to speak, on an eccentric or even ingenious family member, or someone you're simply close to home with. You may be dealing to at this time. Remember that the Sun is also connected with the biological father and in children. So these people may figure more prominently, in your home life more so than usual. And also too, and these people may be Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or ones that simply embody Aquarius characteristics. It could even be a time too where there could be a focus even on Aquarius like traditions. It could be something like going to some computer convention or electronics expo, or even something with astrology. And there might be ones that are unusual, or very different from what the most people actually would have as far as traditions go, and might shine the light in some cases on some Aquarius ancestor maybe you weren't aware of or cognizant of before. Remember, the Sun is about consciousness, and it could be an Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Aquarian characteristics. The Sun will be in Pisces as far as February goes, from the 18th until the 28th. So the fifth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, Scorpio, this could be a time where you might put some strong focus and attention on Piscean related hobbies. It could be something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology or poetry, dancing, photography. As some examples, doing something with fiction. It could be the focus on some kind of, even hypothetical sports matchups. If you're into fantasy games, the fifth house is the house connected. The fifth house is associated with sports. It could be playing in like simulated games from teams of the past, like going to whatifsports.com and you play like the 1927 Yankees against the 1975 Reds, something like that. It could also shine the light, so to speak, in some cases, on a deceptive or duplicitous. It could be a lover, it could be a child, maybe it's someone prominent in your hobbies, your amusement, your enjoyment. And it's also a time, too, where you might be very driven and motivated toward doing things that are Pisces related, that are enjoyable. It could be doing something like with canoeing, or rafting, or something again with the metaphysical, which includes astrology or poetry or dancing. And there may be more drive and motivation toward even a Piscean like investment. If there's some stock you may invest in, something Pisces related like a chemical corporation, or of some kind. So those are some of the ways that this transit may manifest and pan out for you, Scorpio. So anyway, well, the next thing up is there'll be a new moon in Aquarius on February 1st. So the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, in some cases, this could be the beginning of maybe making your home maybe more high tech, maybe adding some electronic devices. You might be wiring it, for safety and security reasons, using high tech alarm systems at this time. Maybe it's the start of expressing more selflessness, more altruism with home and family members, or the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. You may even, at this time as well, Scorpio, it could be the start of some Aquarius like tradition. It could be doing something something that might be traditional in your family that you decide to actually be more involved in, something with computers or electronics or astronomy, or even it could be model rockets in some isolated cases. Um, you may even begin at this time, Scorpio, to do. It might even be using the internet to do something, looking up your ancestry, your roots at this time, or even getting in touch, family members. Remember, the moon is connected with the past, so it might be getting in touch maybe with some family members that you hadn't been in touch with for some time. Now, there's going to be a full moon in Leo on February 16th, 2022. So um, the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Scorpio. So at this time, Scorpio, well, this can manifest in a number of ways. This could be a time where you might become tired, exasperated, full, so to speak, of an overly domineering, bombastic, or arrogant dominant parent, which is often the father. Maybe there's something that ends of a creative nature, or that's career related, or doing something, could be with cardiology, or a field, maybe in the military or sports. As some other examples for Leo, even something with sales or advertising, I would say product demonstration, because Leo energy is about boasting things up, and it could also be a time where something might come out at this time, might be revealed. It might be a revelation or some unveiling at this time. It could be regarding maybe something even positive, where it might show some leadership qualities which you can apply at your career, or it could even be something where more of a domineering, something that's revealed and unveiled about the dominant parent, which might be, where this person, you're seeing the light as far as this person being overly domineering, arrogant, bombastic, egotistical, is some examples as how this transit may manifest at this time. And it might be a time where you might be getting tired of just feel like you're being dominated, maybe at your place of career, at your place of business at this time. Or it might be an ability where something comes out where you become more cognizant of an ability where you can shine and get notoriety and attention at this point in time, whatever it is you may be doing at this time. Leo, where you could actually be put in the spotlight, and you might feel at this time as well, you might be, exasperated and tired of full of not getting the attention, the accolades and recognition you deserve at your place of business at this time. Now, next thing up, well, Mercury will be in Capricorn as far as February goes, from the 1st until the 14th. So the 3rd house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, you might be, there may be more communications, that are very serious, and it could be ones connected with responsibilities, career ambitions, and maybe with siblings, with cousins and neighbors. It might be a time where your thinking is more introspective in 3rd house matters. It might be where you might be more disciplined in your thinking with 3rd house people, whether it be people prone in your early education or people that in your short journeys. It could also be a very good period for writing, because you're talking about Mercury, the planet of communications, and the 3rd house being emphasized and highlighted, which is connected with communications. And it might be a time to Mercury is also connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. These people, which may be Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or ones that simply embody those characteristics, they may figure more prominently in your short journeys, your communications at this time as well. And it can also be, at this time, this is a time to where again, this is very serious conversations with people that, probably your short journeys, your early education at this time. And it's also just a lot of, disciplined thinking. It could be in matters regarding, your short journeys, at this point in time, and doing things with your with your communications. It's really you may be thinking more before actually speaking. Hold on a moment, people. And again, it could be where the thinking is very premeditative regarding maybe taking a short trip somewhere if you're just driving to another town or something. I mean, those are some ways that this transit may manifest. Now, next thing up, Mercury is going to be in Aquarius as far as February goes, from the 14th until the 28th. So the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, there might be more communications regarding your future with your home and your family at this time. You may be more inclined to talk about, matters, expressive, talk about things that are innovative, subjects associated with astrology, computers, electronics, with home and family members. You might even be at this time, again, it's a lot of could be contemplating regarding where your future is going to be in your latter part of life. If you're not currently in the latter part of life, this is the time where you may be doing more thinking regarding it at this point in time. Remember that Mercury is also connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors, so it's a time where could be these siblings, cousins, and neighbors, maybe Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply embody those traits. They might be figuring more prominently in terms of, helping you get ready for the latter part of life if you're not already in it, more prominent in your home life. And it may be, and also too, in matters with traditions as well. You might be communicating more about those. It could be Aquarius related traditions, whether it's something with computers or electronics or astrology, or it's ones that are maybe unusual. And also too, you might be thinking as well, at this time Scorpio, where you might be thinking about your own maybe Aquarius qualities at the core, such as being altruistic, selfless, considerate, ingenious, maybe even being the nonconformist, unorthodox. And there might be certain things too at this time. Remember that Mercury is also connected with short journeys, so you might find yourself doing something as far as short journeys go, taking maybe some unusual trips or very spontaneous trips with the home people in your home life, family members, people you're close to home with. And it might even be, remember that Mercury is connected with the hands, and Aquarius is associated with electronics, computers. It might be a time where you may be doing some work that's connected with computers. You might be using your hands, such as work fixing, automobiles, and doing some, electronic diagnostic work, or fixing something that's computer related with the car, or some kind of wiring with the vehicle, and you may be doing it for somebody prominent in your home life, or it could be a family member or the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. Now, next up, Venus will be in Capricorn for the entirety of February 2022. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Well, first thing off, this is a time, Venus is about peace and tranquility. So you may desire more peace and tranquility with your neighbors, with your siblings, with cousins at this time, in your general communications. And being in Capricorn, this could be communications that are very structured and disciplined. If you're unattached at this time, Scorpio, you might find yourself connecting with could be an older lover, romantic partner at this time, or Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or simply one that embodies those characteristics. And this is also, a time where you might value more serious communications at this time. And It might be also the enjoyment of Capricorn related things with siblings, with cousins and neighbors. Those things could include, might even be things with mathematics or information technology, even mountain climbing or rock climbing. Um, I would say possibly even, obstacle courses. I mean, Capricorn is connected, with obstructions, I would say, restrictions, delays. Um, and it can be, a time to, um, at this time, a Scorpio, where you might be also, Venus is about money, so it can be also, making money, doing something Capricorn related. It could be doing something with your neighbor, with neighbors. At this time, it could be doing something with carpentry, or maybe even masonry, or something with construction. Um, this is also, well, the next thing, and again, this is a time where you may desire, just peace, tranquility in general, with your neighbors, with siblings, with cousins, and in your just general communications at this point in time. Now, another thing is, next thing up, Mars is going to be in Capricorn for the entirety of February 2022. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Well, at this time, Scorpio, first thing is that your communications, I stated before with Venus being in Capricorn and the third house being emphasized, and how that you may desire peace and tranquility in your communications, but at the same time, Mars is going to be in Capricorn, so again, the third house will be emphasized and highlighted, which might offset those peaceful communications to some degree. The communications may actually be contentious at this time as well. You might be vacillating back and forth between very peaceful communications and ones that are more acerbic, and they may be arguments, connected with ambitions or responsibilities. It could be general coldness, giving somebody the cold shoulder. There's also at this time could be a lot of disciplined and a consistent energy. It could be, in your communications and writings, in your short journeys at this time, in activities, with siblings, with cousins, with neighbors at this time. Mars is also connected with injuries, and just be careful at this time if you're doing something, if you're driving or your activity with people prominent in your early education, with siblings, with neighbors, with cousins, that there might be something that happens which you may injure. It might be an injury to the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings, at this time, as some examples. And it's also a time too where you might be, more enthusiastic regarding having, just general consistent communications at this time. There might be also arguments that are of a political and government nature, at this time, more so than usual, because Mars is acerbic. The third house is communications. When you have Mars in the third house involved, it can be very outspoken, energy, and it can be a time if you're expecting, to get a polite, tactful communications, it may be very difficult to do so at this time, Scorpio. So, in your mind, maybe, the third house is also the rational mind, so you just might be a little bit angrier at this time too, Scorpio. That anger might affect your rational thinking, so just be careful. Now, next thing up, Jupiter will be in Pisces for the entire month of February 2022. So at this time, the fifth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So for Scorpio, well, first thing up is, this could be very fortuitous for love and romance if you are unattached, Scorpio. It can be, could be with a Pisces sun, moon, or ascendant person, or one that embodies Piscean traits. And it might be somebody that might be a person you may have fantasized about, or somebody that's in your dreams. Basically, you might see it. This is somebody that you thought was unattainable, since we are talking about Piscean energy. It could also be a time where you might express a lot of exuberance, a lot of enthusiasm, or some Pisces-related game or hobby. It could be, like I stated before, hypothetical sports. I mean, Pisces about things that are hypothetical. Imagine fifth house is sports, like hypothetical sports matchups I talked about before. And remember that Jupiter is very paradoxical. It can be very strongly benign and benevolent, but also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. It might enlarge deceptive and duplicitous behavior with lovers, with children at this time, or maybe even enlarge deceptive or duplicitous investments. Scorpio, just be careful at this time when if you're trying to invest in something. Do your research, make sure the company is on the up and up, it's legitimate, check if it's credible or not, and read your fine print. And I think those things will go a long way to not being succumbing to a fraudulent investment at this time. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, well, the next thing up. Well, Saturn will be in Aquarius for the entire month of February 2022. So the fourth house is what we emphasized and highlight at this time. Well, Scorpio, you might find yourself taking care of a sickly or debilitated home or family member. And you might be expressing a lot of altruism and selflessness with this person. It could also be a time, as far as helping them, it might be also a time too where there might be more responsibilities on the home front. It might, it could be doing something, being an Aquarius, it might be some kind of wiring in the home or trying to give, protection to the family, to the home at this time. It might be doing something just, computer related, or something on, something on the internet. Maybe you're looking up things for people as an example, or maybe you're even trying to fix a computer as another example, or some electronic component in the home. And there might be just some general, restrictions and limitations in the home and the family life at this point in time in general. And the thing is, Saturn and Aquarius, collectively, as far as how it may be affecting, just people in general in the world, it's that I think, this manifests in, restrictions in society, in being around groups. Remember that the COVID variant is prevalent. And in this particular case, maybe somehow for Scorpio, it might be impacting their home life, people, their family, and interactions with them more, and the people they're simply close to home with at this time, or the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. And it can also be a time too where, where it might be traditions, maybe following up on them, or acting on tradition. Maybe it requires more of a laborious effort at this time to actually, participate in those in family traditions at this time. And those traditions might even be, something with Aquarius, such as computers or electronics or astrology, or just something that might be a little bit unusual that most families are into, or as some examples. So anyway. And it might also be where you might be feeling maybe some sorrow at who you believe you are at the core. Aquarius, it could be something with, maybe you feel you're somewhat, we'll say bizarre, or, overly non-conforming or rebellious, over aloof. Those things, and it might be, something where you're seeing, the negative maybe of who you are at the core. Saturn could be very negative energy. Now, the next thing up. Well, Uranus will be in Taurus for the entirety of February 2022. So the seventh house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Scorpio at this time. Well, this could be at times you're unattached, Scorpio. Perhaps you marry a foreigner at this time. It could be something where people in your relationships, maybe there's instability in them. Maybe your relationships are very erratic and sporadic at this time, a lot of fluctuations. It might also be a time too where you may, where Uranus is also about friendships, and could be friendships. The fact that Uranus is in Taurus, it could be ones that are very stable, loyal, steadfast, persistent, stolid. Some cases, maybe one becomes an open adversary, or maybe one becomes involved in a business partnership with you, or legal, or maybe actually helping you in a legal matter. This transit could also manifest in unpredictability in legal situations. An unexpected legal matter may occur, transpire at this time. And the thing about this too, it could also be a lot of negotiation on the internet. And being in Taurus, it could be ones that are very constant, persistent, and ones that are moving maybe very methodically at this time. And also too, you might attract Uranus. Oh, I call it Uranus open adversaries. Could be people that are astrology or astronomy, computers, electronics, or ones that are just very non-conforming, people that are just maybe a little bit bizarre as well in some cases. So those are some ways that this transit may pan out. Now, next thing up, well, Neptune will be in Pisces for the entirety of February 2022. So the fifth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Scorpio. So at this time, well, this can manifest in a number of ways. This transit may be expressed, and it could be the dissolving or dissipation of lovers or children. In some isolated cases, it might even be where a lover or child maybe becomes involved in drugs or alcohol at this time. These people may also be nebulous or unclear. And also too, be careful again at this time, Scorpio, as far as investments go. Fraudulent investments, and make sure you're able to see the fine print in these things, and do your checking online, whatever you have to do, checking the credibility of the company, and even if it actually exists, if you are involved in any investments. There may be more of a time too where you're very idealistic regarding lovers and children at this time, and overlooking transgressions. It may also be a time where you might feel there's some dissolving or dissipation regarding your personal popularity, or you might be overly, idealistic or unrealistic regarding it, whether it might be, maybe you're seeing yourself as more popular than you actually are, or in terms of attaining popularity, maybe you don't have, it might be something where you don't have the confidence to attain popularity, and it might be whatever it is that it's almost, it could manifest in that way. So because Neptune is very confusing and confounding energy, so there might be confusion in terms of how popular you are, or confusion in terms of how are you going to attain greater popularity, as some examples. So there might be more of an interest in Neptune / Pisces related games, again, as I stated before, like hypothetical imaginary sports matchups, or doing something Neptune related and as something as a hobby or a game or enjoyment, whether it could be playing like a fantasy game, like a Dungeons and Dragons game as an example, or or just doing something Neptune Pisces related that you enjoy. Metaphysical, which can include astrology or poetry, dancing, photography, as some other examples. Now, last but not least, Pluto will be in Capricorn for the entire month of February 2022, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Well, this could manifest in a number of ways. It could be where you might, sadly, it could be the death of a sibling or a cousin or a neighbor. Maybe you're transforming the way you're speaking somehow. I'm not saying you're going to get a voice transformer at this time. Now, if you're an older person, there might be something that might happen with that, where you're forced maybe to communicate in a different manner. Now, it could also be careful at this time, Scorpio. Sometimes this could manifest in the obliteration of the rational mind, or maybe your thinking becomes more obsessive and fixated at this time. It might be a time too where you might find yourself communicating more about deep subjects or Pluto-related subjects in general, which could include the occult, which includes astrology, or talking about psychology, or matters pertaining to death, recycling, taxes, insurance, And you might find this time as well that you may feel that there might be, more of a passion and desire just simply for short journeys, for communicating, to activities with siblings, with cousins and neighbors at this point in time, more so than usual. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. And until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.